I want to talk about 5 things that can help you become a better software engineer. These skills can help you stand apart and move up the career ladder faster and also make you a go-to person for most of the things in your organization. Let's start. The first one is understanding the deployment process. Now, most companies have automated their deployment process, which means they have continuous integration and continuous delivery setup. What this means in simple terms is as soon as you commit some code, there is a build process which gets triggered. It builds your code base, and then there is a pipeline um, which eventually publishes or deploys your application, the changes that you have made, to a higher environment. It can be your development environment, it can be staging, it can be production even. So there is a pipeline to do this and it's automated. Generally, I think Jenkins and GitHub Actions is quite popular for doing this. But that's where the trick is. Like most of the folks, especially developers, are not quite aware about what this is exactly, how this works. So what I'll suggest is if you don't already know, then try to find out what build and deploy tools are being used. Chances are you are using either Jenkins or GitHub Actions or maybe something else. Second thing is figure out how it's configured. How this thing works actually. What are the steps in the pipeline? And then see if you can modify the pipeline and add some checks like checking if there are any lint errors. So first step is understand the deployment process because not very many folks do. Second thing is writing clean code. Now, as a software engineer, what can set you apart is writing good, clean code. What I mean by clean code is writing reusable and maintainable code, right? If you are already doing that, great. If not, then start to figure out what are the best practices to write code. Learn about linters, code coverage, and design patterns. Code coverage is typically a term used when you want to write test driven development, or sorry, you want to do test driven development. So there are some good practices both for front end and back end engineering. So try to learn about those practices. Chances are pretty good that your organization already has some good practices, coding practices defined. So try to understand. If not, then try to contribute to setting up coding guidelines and standards. That will also help you, become a better engineer. And understand that good products are made by following good practices. And if you write maintainable code, it helps the organization a lot. So it helps the next set of folks who are going to work on that code base and make changes. Next one is monitoring the application performance. Now, do you know how your application is doing in production? Are there any errors? What's the uptime for your application? And if there is a problem, then is your team getting notified about that? So, thing is that most of the applications are being monitored in production. I mean, your company may be using a tool like New Relic or Datadog or Site 24/7 to monitor the APIs and also the front end. And this lets you understand and analyze how your application is doing over a period of time. Whether there are downtimes, what kind of errors are there. Plus, you can have a good look at the various metrics like the CPU metrics, memory, how your containers are doing, for example. So get familiar with the tools at your company, right? Try to learn about them. And once you start to analyze the tools, analyze the data, you can make suggestions as well that, if there are any gaps that you are seeing, if there are any errors that are throwing up frequently, then you can, suggest ways to correct them or to handle them. That will be a good addition to your profile. Okay. Next is understanding security. Now, as a developer or as an engineer, do you understand security? What are the different types of attacks possible? And can your application handle them? Have you heard about OWASP top 10? Um, if not, then trust me, you're not alone. This is one area where most engineers have no clue. And most of the applications today are pretty vulnerable. I mean, not just applications, but also data. You may be hearing about data breaches almost every day. Even bigger organizations like Google and Facebook are struggling to keep their data safe, right? So, security is a very important thing and it's non compromisable. So, it's important that you understand how to write secure code and also understand OWASP principles. Okay, that'll give you a big edge as far as writing applications or writing secure applications is concerned, and it's one of the most neglected areas I'll see. um, Neglected areas, I mean. At the same time, it's also very important. So try to understand the basic concepts around writing secure code. The next is ownership and accountability. Now, if I were to pick one skill which can take you up the ladder faster than most, it will be this. What do you mean by this? So, when you commit to doing something, right, say your sprint starts, development starts, and you are assigned a certain task. Now, ownership means delivering what you have committed, right? Even if it takes additional hours or it takes additional effort, you deliver things on time and good quality code, good quality product. And this is a very important skill. And it's not just about, a software product, it's in general in life. If you see, you actually like and trust people who own their stuff, right? Who are accountable to the work they have picked up or they have been assigned. So this is a great trait to have. And this is one trait which a company loves. If you are someone who takes ownership, takes accountability, then it's hard to stop you from rising up the ladder very fast. These are some of the skills I find really useful. I mean, I've seen engineers who do very well in their careers, and they all possess most of these skills. So I think try to go through these skills, read about it, and understand it, and you will have a rocking software engineering career. Thank you.